Dr. Peter Ozoeson joins us. He's the General Secretary of Nigeria Labour Congress. Good morning and thank you for joining us. Well, while the minister did announce that new price regime, he did say that he had meetings with different groups, including the NLC and TUC Labour. And but we understand that Labour is kicking against this. Why is that?
Well, I think the facts need to be set straight. We did not at any time discuss price increase with the minister. What had happened was that on Tuesday at about 4:30 p.m., we received a letter from the office of the Vice President inviting the President of the NLC to what was termed a consultative meeting. No subject matter was indicated, and the meeting was scheduled for 12 noon on Wednesday. Because the President was out on official duty, I went and represented the Congress. The TUC President was also there, and the President of NUPENG was also there. These were the three representatives from Labour. There were senators, there were members of the House, there were some governors, and on the spot is when we knew what the matter was, and that it was to receive a presentation from the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources. He made a presentation in which he was canvassing for total deregulation, abolition of subsidy, and all that. And at the end of it, there were those who made comments, mainly those from the National Assembly, some cautioning, some advising, and some asking other questions. The Vice President then specifically called on us one by one, by name, the three of us. And what we told the Vice President was that we had just received that presentation, and since we represented democratic organs, institutions, we will take the presentation and discuss it at our organs, and we will get back to government on our position. That was all that happened, and the meeting rose. No decision was taken there. And so when the minister was quoted to have said that we were part of a meeting that took that decision, then he's clearly not truthful about that. And I think governments need to be truthful in putting facts before citizens. We were not part of that decision, but that is not even what is crucial. What is crucial to us is that this particular increase is unacceptable to us. This will be the worst approach that any government has taken in our history, in the sense that the other governments have attempted to remove subsidy and to say they are deregulating completely. But in doing that, no government has said that importers should now invade the black market for foreign exchange, and therefore the domestic price, pump head price, would now be determined on the basis of a black market foreign exchange. Because that's a recipe for economic instability, and not just in the oil sector, but the whole economy. Because the demand for importing products, when it invades the black market, you know what is going to happen to the value of the naira in the black market. It will, collapse. And when that happens, then PPPROA, or what they call PPPROA now, because there's no legal body properly constituted as of now, would then go ahead and use the devalued naira to again compute. So this 145 is just a start. And within the next few months, the economic logic suggests that we're going to have a total collapse of the value of the naira in the black market, and then that is going to lead to further increases. We think this is undesirable for the economy, and we think that the government has not thought this policy through, and we are opposed to it. But as democratic institutions, we will confront this matter later today when the National Executive Council meets in an emergency session.
Have you followed the argument of the Honorable the Minister of State for Petroleum, looking at what he said yesterday on the program? And of course, there was also a press release looking at that sector. He did say this was the best that we need as a nation, looking at what we have been spending, which has gone into over ₦1 trillion on subsidy.
Well, every government before now has made these same arguments. And the government in power now has actually countered some of these arguments in the past. As a matter of fact, Mr. President himself has clearly taken positions before the election, even after he became president, against this type of policies. So he raises questions as whether Mr. President is actually in control of his government, or there is a group within his government that is overruling him, or is the president, by saying those things, misleading us? Because two crucial things emerge here from what Mr. President has said in the past. One, that he did not believe in the subsidy thing because in any case, there will be hardship. That he was advised and he rejected. Now this is being done. Two, he does not believe in devaluation. And yet, you are doing a policy that is anchored on black market exchange rates. These two things contradict the position the president has taken publicly and given to Nigerians. So we want to know, is the government, are there two governments? Is Mr. President in charge of this government? These are issues that fall out from these. What the minister is saying, in 6 months the price will start to come down, is standing logic on his head. It is not possible. The price will escalate, and it is unacceptable that they would say that this is the best they can do. Because Nigerians cannot be put in a situation when the price of crude is high, they are made to pay through the nose because they have to chase international pricing. When the price of crude collapses, then they still have to pay through their nose because the market for foreign exchange collapses and we have to use black market rates to determine the value of domestic products. These problems exist because of the failure of government to deal with the issue of domestic refining. And we say that to do this type of policy under an import chasing regime will be destabilizing. So they should first try and get the domestic refinery situation fixed so that domestic self-sufficiency can take place. Then you can do some of these policies and it will have meaning. Under the present circumstance, it is a bad policy, and irrespective of which government does it, we have a duty to so say, and that's why we're taking the position we're taking.
Mr. Zoe, so the arguments is still going on back, and because the NNPC has been responsible for a while now for the major importation of petroleum products, PMS to be precise. And according to the NNPC officials, this is too much, and the NNPC was not designed to handle that kind of importation or that level of importation. And plus, doing this now will release some funds that can be put back to enhance the capacity of the refineries. What's wrong with this kind of action? Why is it so difficult for Labour to follow through?
Do you know that the type of the situation that is being painted by government, the economic reality of the moment and all that, do you realize that it is a two-sided situation? Do you realize that the present economic situation has completely eroded even the little salary that workers do have? Do you realize that when you take the present economic situation, the devaluation of the naira, the spiraling inflation, that the average Nigerian is already unable to meet basic needs? And when under such a situation, you then bring electricity tariff increase to further compound that situation, then you follow quickly with this type of situation to further impoverish and impose a hardship on the average Nigerian. That cannot be the way governments should function. It is unacceptable, and whatever the NNPC is saying, in any case, the matters like this, there are legal framework for dealing with them. The PPPROA Act sets up the stakeholders forum in law that deals with these matters. The PPPROA board has never been constituted for over 2 years. We have written, Mr. President, about the illegality of what they are even doing now. We PPPROA set up the template that we are using to determine 145 naira, for instance. It is not a PPPROA under the law. The law is very clear as to the power, who exercises that power. It is the board of the PPPROA. So a person appointed under the tutelage of the Minister of State for Petroleum to then be playing that role is an illegality. The minister has become, as it were, a sole administrator in the oil sector. There is no board of NNPC, there is no board of PPPROA, and they continue to do these things. A government must live within the rules of law. These are illegalities, and we cannot be brought to, in any sense, to accommodate these violations of national laws.
Well, part of the information that the corporation is also circulating as to why they needed to do this is because they say there is no provision for subsidy in 2016 budget. And then if the fuel price at the time currently sold at 86 naira 50 kobo, you had a ceiling subsidy payment of about 13.7 naira, and then on the whole, it would amounted to 16.4 billion naira monthly, and they say there is no funding whatsoever for this. So how are they going to fund this if they didn't do this? They asked.
Well, the first thing is that the budget was presented by the executive. And the budget today that is passed, I am not sure the minister is again telling the truth, or by saying no subsidy was included in the 2016 budget. I saw a lie on subsidy in the 2016 budget. And anybody can pick up the budget and look through and ascertain whether there was a subsidy provision in the 2016 budget. But even if there were none, that is a failure of the government. It ought to have anticipated, unless it was ambushing Nigerians by then doing that. So that is not our burden. That is the burden of government. And if there became issues, that is where the budgetary process also allows for supplementary budgeting. So those are not new. Those issues have arisen in the past and they have been dealt with. And so this government needs to live up to the promises it made to Nigerians and also live up to expectations.